Welcome to Fiery Discourse, your podcast and media featuring dragonesses, female dinosaurs, and other similar saurians and scalies. I'm your host, Ludmillanon, and with me are my co-hosts, Angron, Mathmachine, the Shark, and Stryker. Today is our 133rd episode, and we're talking about the 2003 The Adventures of Jimmy Neutron Boy Genius episode, Sorry, Wrong Era. So, let's get things started.
Superpowered mind, mechanical canine, rescues the day from sure destruction. This is the theme song of Jimmy Neutron.
Jimmy Neutron started as a concept in the 1980s and originally was going to be a live action show with CGI animated backgrounds. And thankfully, we do not know how that would have looked because judging from 80s technology, there would have been a lot of chroma key error, let's put it that way.
For an idea how cool that have been, you can check the original Johnny Quasar pilot and let's just see the 3D animation there. It's a good thing they waited a bit for that.
And also, imagine what Hugh Neutron would have looked like back in those days.
Yep.
Yeah, if you haven't seen the original design, it definitely is a, shall we say, different look for Jimmy, or Johnny in that case. And Goddard, ironically enough, they got like right out of the park. That's like the one character they got perfect on the first try, you know? He looks no different from back like in the Johnny Quasar pilot short to the actual TV show. After seeing the promo short for Johnny Quasar, Steve Odenkirk, the founder of O Entertainment, was there and was fascinated by it. They pitched the concept to Nickelodeon and made a pilot called Runaway Rocket Boy. And the executives at Nickelodeon were so impressed, they not only decided to greenlight the show, but they also ended up making a feature-length film. And yeah, Jimmy Neutron Boy Genius was a huge hit. It was the first CGI animated with commercial software rather than having like specialized rendering software. And it was actually nominated for the very first Best Animated Feature Oscar. Shrek won, of course, but it's so amazing to think that this movie is an Oscar-nominated movie. Like in an alternate timeline, it would have been like first Best Animated Feature, Jimmy Neutron, second Best Animated Feature, Spirited Away. It's like one of those things where you have to stop and think like, whoa, you know, it was that big. But anyway, go ahead, Chuck.
Yeah, I remember that well because Jimmy Neutron was one of the early nominations, which meant in the Oscars, there was actually a moment when we're showing the nominees. You will see Shrek, you will see other characters, and yes, you will see Jimmy Neutron with the audience crossing his fingers, hoping he will get the Oscar.
And apparently they actually made animations if each one won. So if like Mike and Sully won, they made a different animation for them, and if Jimmy won, they did another animation for him. And that would have been really interesting to see. I don't know if it's leaked out anywhere, but probably has.
Yeah, I remember watching this when I was a kid, and I definitely enjoyed it back then, and still kind of do to this day. There's a lot of jokes in it that definitely have withstood the test of time. One of my favorite nowadays being where they tell a campfire story on like an asteroid, but it's them retelling the Blair Witch Project, which that was hilarious.
Okay, yeah, that would be funny.
Yeah. 90s and early 2000s movies loved their Blair Witch Project jokes.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Since Jimmy Neutron was such a hit movie, they actually, of course, quickly made the spin-off show, The Adventures of Jimmy Neutron Boy Genius, that went into production. And the show begins with its theme song, which Angron so graciously gave you a little rendition of earlier on in the episode. And yeah, it absolutely still rocks to this day. It still sounds great. And, you know, the visuals are great, and a lot of it is actually reused from the movie, but because they used the same software for the movie and the TV show, it's one of those things where it actually looks still really good for television of the time, because they used the same exact software. They could reuse the designs. They reused a lot of the character designs in the movie, too, so it's really, really fascinating. That was kind of like an osmosis deal there. Basically, over the title card, they play knockoff Jurassic Park music, as the logo itself also looks like it's in a Jurassic Park style. And that's another thing. Jimmy Neutron loved to do that with the title cards. But the episode itself begins with Sheen, voiced by Jeffrey Garcia, saying how much he loves the smell of bananas in the morning as he holds ones up. Basically, I will say this. It's a very good thing that Hugh Neutron wasn't there to actually sit on it, because then his life would be changed forever yet again.
You mean if it already hasn't?
Yeah.
True.
Once I sat on a banana, and of course that changed my life.
Exactly.
Classic.
Anyway, Shark.
Can't wait for a much better Sheen spin-off, Sheen Bonanza now.
Nice.
That would be way better. Definitely. Sheen Bonanza. We so need that.
Speaking of which, he's probably using the banana guns from Smash Bros. Ultimate.
Basically, Sheen then stands like a cowboy and fires the bananas at Goddard as he swallows them. Carl, voiced by Rob Paulson, mentions that they can't forget the sherbet as well as Goddard sucks it up with his vacuum tail. There's still a little bit of left on the spoon as Carl tries to lick it, but Goddard sucks it up too, which causes Carl to frown in a really hilarious way. And I give this show credit. The animation itself isn't the best CG, even for like 2003, but the amount of expressiveness they get out of these characters is really impressive for the time. You know, when they do these big reacts like Carl's over-the-top frown, it looks great. Go ahead, Angron.
Yeah, like, honestly, on that note, Goddard's Mansion when he would absolutely suck everything.
Exactly. Go ahead, Chuck.
Yeah, the animation in this show might be aged, but the script, the jokes, and the humor, that still holds up nowadays.
Oh, easily. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but for now, go ahead, Math.
Yeah, this was back in the days of CG animation when they weren't trying to make everything look as lifelike as possible to kind of defeat the point of animation. That they had this weird concept that, oh, hey, these are cartoon characters and we're going to do funny, cartoony things with them. How weird.
Yeah, I mean, for the best example of that, look at Andy from Toy Story, and then look at him in Toy Story 4. Or rather, don't look at him in Toy Story 4 because he is a Nightmare Uncanny Valley child.
Yikes.
Jimmy arrives, voiced by Debbie Derryberry.
We got it right. Sucking Nostalgia Critic.
Yep, we can pronounce it. But he arrives with a bucket of ice and dumps it in Goddard's back, causing him to make a smoothie. After Jimmy drinks it, he then gets a wicked smirk and says, "Time to set up our little trap." Cindy and Libby arrive as Goddard holds up a sign saying free smoothies. Of course, Cindy and Libby think that this is a trick, remembering the time with the hamster. We then cut to them cooing over a free hamster with a bit of the paper taped up, as they basically coo over it. The hamster then gets glowing red eyes and begins to roar before Jimmy smugly walks up and removes a piece of paper, saying it was a free mutant hamster. Now, whether it was a teenage and a ninja, we cannot speculate. Go ahead, Angron.
Yes, one day they're making mutant hamsters, the next they're breaking bottles in a Jersey suburb. Or I forget specifically where the Events of Is for Family take place, but yeah, had to make that joke, especially since Debbie Derryberry already did those two projects.
And also, Cindy is voiced by Caroline Lawrence, aka Sandy Cheeks. And yeah, she does a really good job because you really can't really tell that it's the same voice as Sandy unless you really listen, you know?
Yeah, same deal with Carl by Rob Paulson. Like, you're so used to hearing him be like freaking Yakko and a few other voices, but then you actually hear Carl, and the difference is honestly night and day. It's like Dracula being voiced by Adam Sandler, and you cannot tell that either. Like, it's pretty amazing the range that some actors have sometimes.
Oh, absolutely.
Cindy and Libby then wonder how gullible Jimmy thinks that they are as they decide to take the smoothies. As they sip it, Jimmy tells Carl and Sheen to begin their plan, which has them coming out and doing vaudeville dance routines, with Sheen throwing a pie in Carl's face. When they just react to it by rolling their eyes, Jimmy tells them to go to plan B. Carl pulls out a joy buzzer and then begins to electrocute Sheen with it. And this is the first of many little quick blink and you miss it background jokes that Jimmy Neutron loved doing, because we see a shot like Cindy and Libby basically sipping their smoothies and just looking at each other, and in the background, you see Carl continuing to shock Sheen even after he's on the ground, his eyes are spanning. Like, he's still just like doing it out of like malice, and it is so funny. I love when shows do that kind of like airplane Naked Gun style humor with the background jokes. I am such a sucker for that.
Yeah, same.
We did not know what to do with Ed in this scene.
Yep. Or if Carl shocked Patrick would respond just by saying, "I don't get it."
Yeah.
Yep. But Jimmy walks out and says that they were supposed to laugh, saying that he had it all planned out before he slips in the banana peel. This, of course, ends up causing Cindy and Libby to laugh, which in turn causes them to shoot Smoothie out of their noses. The girls then complain about this, as Jimmy says he needed them as test subjects for his Quantum Replay 9000. He then hits rewind, rewinding time and having the smoothie go back in. The girls are disgusted at this, as Jimmy then hits fast forward, and they do it again at a faster pace. Sheen then walks up and laughs, "It's even better the second time," and Carl wonders, "Will it be as funny the 106th time?" And like I say, I love that. I love that they give them like camaraderie, that they really do feel like friends, you know? That's one thing also that Jimmy Neutron really did well. They had the whole like friendship thing down. It worked out really, really great. But go ahead, Angron.
Yeah, they each have their differences. Like Carl is 100% the asthmatic sort of geeky kid. Carl is like the ultra hyper fanboy sort of deal. And Jimmy Neutron is the genius, of course. Their fascination with Jimmy's stuff, and the fact that they can that they're still kids and that they can do a bunch of goofs and gaffes like this, making Cindy and her friend shoot milkshake out of their nose. And honestly, that kind of reminds me, it's rewind time.
Basically, they then continue to rewind and fast forward them as Jimmy's dad, Hugh, arrives. Now, he's always very Mark DiCarlo, and boy, we have a lot to talk about Hugh later on, because this is probably one of his best episodes that is not focused on him. He walks up and asks to play with the remote as Jimmy lets him. While Hugh and rewinds and fast forwards Cindy and Libby, Jimmy points out that the remote only works with what you pointed at, because that protects the space-time continuum, and Hugh points out that, "Wow, it makes everything all time loopy!" Jimmy then suggests the frame-by-frame option, as we see the smoothie come out of their noses, literally frame by frame, and it's one of those jokes that's just so simple, and yet it actually works, you know?
Yeah. Even funnier is that Hugh actually laughs along with them. Like, say what you will about him as a father, when he gets interested in Jimmy's stuff, he 100% is there with him, and I love that. Hugh's a freaking mood.
He is. And he has way more to do later on, so get ready for that. The girls then yell that he's giving them brain freeze as Hugh asks Jimmy how to fix it. Jimmy then sets it to 5 minutes as the girls walk backwards into the house, with the audio both playing in reverse and being sped up, which I give him credit for. I really give him credit for that. That's a detail you did not have to put in, but the fact you did, it shows you put more work into it than you had to, and that's always great. Hugh, of course, is amazed at the remote, calling it the next fun craze that's going to sweep the nation. He then wonders if he can go back 2 minutes in time, presses 200 in the remote, then points it at Jimmy, Carl, and Sheen as Jimmy shouts. Of course, when he hits it, basically they disappear, as Hugh mentions how he loves the strobe effect, before seeing that they disappeared. Goddard basically paws at the ground where Jimmy was, as Hugh thinks that they went back to the lab, which means that he can play with the remote, and boy, as I just said, we are going to have a lot of fun with Hugh. But meanwhile, we then cut to Jimmy, Carl, and Sheen as they wind up in a prehistoric jungle. Sheen mentions how he feels dizzy and sick, then it's silently asked to do it again, and I'm almost a sucker for that kind of gag too. Go ahead, Angron.
I'll get him transported back in time. That boy stuck in time. I had to make that reference. Russian Badger, if you're listening to this, I got your number, man. Anyway, Shark.
Oh, the ground where Jimmy and friends used to be is completely burnt, and even the way they went back in time looks like they exploded in place, and Hugh just assumed like, oh, they went back to the lab.
Again, that's one of the funniest things about Hugh. Carl notes how humid it is, as Jimmy points out all the changes in the atmosphere, and that Hugh sent them back not 2 minutes, but 200 million years! And when Jimmy screams this, the camera pans out as a dramatic sting plays. And we then get another good gag when Sheen asks, "What did you say?" And Jimmy says, "He sent us back 200 million years again." And with the camera movement and the musical sting playing again. And then Sheen's, "Oh, that's what I thought you said." Yeah, Jimmy Neutron has such great humor like this. Jimmy says without the remote, they're stuck in the late Cretaceous period. A loud roar is heard off screen as Carl wonders that, do we have mommies that make it all go away in the late Cretaceous period? I'm sorry, I will try not to do my Carl Wheezer impression too many times, but man, it's a fun thing to do. We then cut back to the Neutron household as Hugh arrives in the kitchen, telling Judy what he got. She says that she spilled lingon berries all over the floor while making pie as he rewinds it, cleaning it up. He asks where he got that, as he says that, oh, it's Jimbo's latest invention. He calls it the... and then I love the pause he does there, and this is the whatever. And then he says that, I'm the first dad on the block to control time and space.
Yes.
Judy basically yells at him, saying that she won't have him warping physics, as he then rewinds her out of the room. Hugh then twirls the remote before saying that, this is even better than pie. And I am shocked, Mr. Neutron. I thought you never would say such a thing. I mean, what's next? Is it better than ducks, too?
Yep.
Don't even go that far. I know 2 ducks in particular that will happily clobber you for saying that.
We cut back to Jimmy, Carl, and Sheen in the Cretaceous period as Jimmy and Carl hide from a pterodactyl. Carl asks Jimmy if he could make another remote, as Jimmy says that he could try, before telling Carl not to touch anything, bringing up the butterfly effect. We cut to Sheen juggling eggs, asking if they wanted poached or smiley-faced, then drops it on the ground and suggests, or maybe scrambled. Jimmy to stop it, saying they don't know what kind of creature laid those eggs. Sheen says they can outsmart anything with their superior intelligence, as a T-Rex appears, and we are going to probably rank the T-Rex because its gender is never specified, and I feel like because of that, it can go on the count, because our show, our rules, you know?
I do recall hearing a he or an it. I oftentimes mistake the two, but for now, yeah, we'll go with she, since it was near the eggs and it's likely their mom. So yeah.
Hey, you never know with certain classifications. So
I will say this about the T-Rex design. It's really unique because it has like the brown, tan, and almost purplish scales in a way, but it also has its head shaped somewhat differently compared to most cartoon T-Rexes. They give it like these fronds at the side of its head, and I don't know, it looks really, really creative, you know? It's definitely a unique design.
A show that could have used a random model they find online and call it a day, but no, they at least went out of the way to make it more unique and more fitting for their show.
more original.
Sheen then nervously tells Jimmy to use your superior intellect as they run away. Carl quivers as the T-Rex sniffs at him, with Sheen telling Carl not to move as it can't see him. We then get basically 2 hilarious jokes in a row because Carl makes this absolutely hilarious pose when he's frozen that is really, really just hilarious. It's hard to describe, but watch the episode and you'll see it. And second is how Jimmy basically points out, Sheen, that theory's been completely discredited. And then Sheen he screams at it, and I'm sorry, that just got a great laugh out of me.
Yeah.
Boys then run away before climbing up a tree with Hanna-Barbera sound effects. T-Rex bashes its head against a tree, causing the trio to slide down its tail as Sheen screams, yabba dabba doo, and that is the second time that a Flintstones reference has happened in a movie where characters go to a world of dinosaurs. The first time being Ice Age 3.
First it was Jurassic Park, now it's Flintstone. I half expect a caveman reference by the end of the...
I definitely have one planned, so stay tuned for that. But what happens next is we then cut to them hiding under a giant mushroom as Carl begins to sneeze, as he's allergic to mushrooms, as well as, of course, nearly everything else. Sheen tries telling Carl that it's all in his mind, telling him to think of Sam at the candy bar preparing a hot fudge sundae with all of the ingredients. And I love this because it just shows how good of a character Sheen is. And I know that sounds crazy if you've only seen Planet Sheen, but trust us, the Jimmy Neutron Sheen is really, really funny because he starts going like, oh no, what's Sam doing? He's putting on a mushroom on it.
Congratulations, Retroville, you ruined Milkshake.
Carl then sneezes, and Jimmy then gets an idea, standing on top of the mushroom and waving a stick on it. It's causing the T-Rex to sneeze, including on Jimmy, before it walks off still sneezing. And I will say this, using a stick to make the T-Rex sneeze is way better than what Ringo Starr and crew did to get rid of their T-Rex. Let's leave it that way. Sheen then begins to taunt the T-Rex by saying, take that with your peanut brain and tiny arms. Jimmy tells Sheen to lay off the insults as they're being hunted, as you see a pair of eyes staring back at them. We then cut back to Hugh at the candy bar eating an ice cream cone. Hugh notes that the ice cream is so good that I could eat it all day, and I think I will. And he does it by rewinding time and then eating it again and again. And, of course, all the customers are disgusted by this. Oh, go ahead, Angron.
Still a lot better than when King Neptune did it in that one episode of SpongeBob.
Shark?
I guess Hugh learned a way to replicate the gods' powers. He did become a certain lord at some point in this episode.
True.
Yep.
Sam marches up to Hugh and yells that he's been eating the same ice cream for hours on end to stop it. And Sam is simply voiced by Billy West, the legend that he is. He's doing an impression of Al Lewis, aka Grandpa Munster, probably best known for that. And Billy West actually personally knew Al Lewis, believe it or not. Like, they were friends when Billy lived in New York, so that's probably where he got the idea. And if you've ever heard Billy West on the Gilbert Gottfried podcast, he has stories about Al Lewis that are very, very fascinating, but that's for another time. Hugh says that he'll leave as soon as he's finished with his purple flurp, then begins to drink it over and over and over again as Sam collapses from all of this.
Yep. Classic Hugh.
We then cut back to Jimmy as he warns Carl and Sheen to watch out for its retractable claws unless it has venom, in which case, watch out so your eyes don't dissolve. And this leads to a really hilarious conversation between Carl and Sheen over how you either could or could not be able to watch your eyes dissolve. And again, this is one of the things that Jimmy Neutron really did best, because it wasn't the most technically impressive show, but man, the writing was so sharp and clever. Like, hot take here, Jimmy Neutron absolutely is better than Fairly Odd Parents. I'm sorry. Jimmy Neutron had less bad episodes, and the good episodes are actually way better than the good Fairly Odd Parents episodes. Sorry, but that's a fact. Anyway, let's see. Go ahead, Angron.
Jurassic Park is very frightening in the dark. All the dinosaurs are running wild. I'm sorry, that's all I can think of when I hear those two make those Jurassic Park references. Now they need a 2D psychedelic dinosaur shaking their rear in front of them.
Nice. Anyway, go ahead, Shark.
Yeah, that type of interaction between the three is like one of the highlights of the show in general. Jimmy will say something either super smart or casual, but Carl and Sheen will manage to make like a whole stupid conversation about it, like this time.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, go ahead, Matt.
That Sheen complaint about not being able to watch your eyes reminded me why they made the admittedly horrible mistake of giving him his own show. Aside from Hugh, he actually does have the best lines and jokes in the series.
We'll talk more about the horror that is Planet Sheen in the post episode, but Carl then notes that whatever the creature is gone as it then attacks, with a trio of all running around randomly. Carl then trips as it turns out to be on his back, with Carl screaming to let it off. It turns out to be a harmless, and forgive me for the bad pronunciation here, lepticidium. I'm sorry, that is probably the worst pronunciation.
Lepticidium.
Thank you. It turns out that's one of the first mammals to ever exist. The creature then pulls a candy bar out of Carl's pocket and begins eating it. And sadly, we do not get to hear Carl say, "He only liked me for my shorts!"
Nice.
Carl actually gets attached to the creature and calls it Leppy, as he can't pronounce its species name either. Sheen wants to hold Leppy, as Jimmy says that they can't interact with the fauna over fear of ruining the timeline. Jimmy says that they have to find food and shelter, as Jimmy has to rebuild the quantum replay if they want to get back home. Leppy begins sleeping in the air as it notices something. Oh, before that, go ahead, Shark.
Yeah, I kind of like how Jimmy is still worried about the whole butterfly effect when he already made that Tyrannosaurus Rex sneeze, and we all remember what happened when Homer made that Tyrannosaurus Rex sneeze. This is gonna cost me.
Yeah, very, very true. Unfortunately, Jimmy does not go back to a world where it rains donuts. But, alas. What happens, though, is that Leppy begins leaping in the air as it notices something. Carl and Sheen begin playing charades with it, suggesting both pirates and space worms. And obviously, Carl and Sheen are huge Metroid fans with those suggestions.
Yep.
Also, it's not a duck, that's a pelican! I had to make that
But
joke.
yeah, basically what happens is a pterodactyl swoops down from behind Sheen and carries him off as Carl and Jimmy give chase but are unable to. Sheen screams how, "I'm afraid of heights and pterodactyls," as the mama pterodactyl flies off. And I'm sorry, like Matt said, Sheen really is one of the funniest characters, and we'll get more to Planet Sheen in a little bit. But before that, go ahead, Matt.
No, Sheen wasn't kidnapped by a pterodactyl. As he himself said, he was kidnapped by a pterodactyl.
Hey, Petrie.
Yeah, or Elsa. Carl says they can't leave Sheen, as Jimmy says the only hope they have is to use the quantum replay to rewind time to where they can save Sheen. Leppy approaches as Carl laments that he cannot touch Leppy. Jimmy then realized that early mammals were good at finding food and shelter, telling Carl that they must follow Leppy despite what it might do to the timeline. We then cut to Sheen being carried off by the pterodactyl, which is another reason why we are discussing the episode. He tells the pterodactyl that most dinosaurs think that kids taste like chicken, but it's more of like a pasty liver flavor, as she drops him into her nest. He notes that, I love what you've done with the place, and notes some guano before she takes off. Sheen then yells at her to come back and how he can't handle being alone and asks for a magazine. The pterodactyl's chicks then approach Sheen and he says that, oh hey, I'm a friend of your mom's, before screaming that, you don't want to mess with me? I'm from the future, before we cut a shot of the nest as he screams. We then cut to Jimmy as he's busy working, then ask Carl how he's doing, but before that, go ahead, Angron.
Honestly, that scene, after watching Jurassic World Camp Cretaceous and Chaos Theory, every time I see a cutaway of a person about to get eaten by a dinosaur, I just think of that now. It's pretty hilarious.
It makes me wonder if it was a Jurassic Park 3 reference, because that was the most recent Jurassic Park movie when this came out. It was probably in production like 2002. So they probably thought, oh, let's make fun of the most recent movie, because that'd work. We then get to what is, honestly, for me, the single funniest non-Hugh. I want to basically specify that up front. The funniest non-Hugh moment of the episode. Because Carl says that he and Lemmy we put a lot of thought into it, and we have something great. When Jimmy asks them to show him what they got, we then hear tropical music. Carl then says, on the downbeat, before he reemerges in a coconut bra and grass skirt. And he sings a calypso song about how he was scared about the prehistoric era, but then he met Leppy as he and Leppy danced together. And I'm sorry, the first time I saw this as a kid, I fell on the floor laughing with how funny this was. This got such a huge reaction out of me because I was never expecting anything like this. The way Rob Paulsen sings it is just fantastic. And I love the bit where it cuts to Jimmy just looking completely confused before he turns to the audience with the same reaction. Like, are you seeing this?
Yes.
I was going to comment on that, like, Jimmy's reaction is already great, but the fact that he actually turns towards the camera makes it even better.
Easily does.
It honestly makes the sheer crassness and jarring imagery of it almost worth it.
It's a common fourth wall break, I always love this.
Yeah. Oh, just good lordy. I can't unsee Carl in that outfit now. It is. It is a splash of ice water. Anyways, Matt.
Yeah, I don't think we can overemphasize how good Jimmy's reaction is. It is one of the most I am relating to this character so much moments.
It makes it even better because just the way he performs the song so sincerely is so funny. But Jimmy then cuts off the song by basically yelling that Carl and Leppy were supposed to look for shelter and food instead of learning to do a calypso dance. Carl says that they were, but then I started singing and Leppy picked up the dance moves, so with that. And again, just Rob Paulsen's performance as a whole is just, I'm sorry, another hot take here. I think Carl is the best role Rob Paulsen has had. Yes, I even like it better than Animaniacs.
Or even Raphael?
Okay. Raphael is different. Let's do it this way. Let's say his best comical role. Like Raph and Donnie are in a whole different tier, you know?
Fair enough.
Exactly.
Jimmy, meanwhile, managed to rebuild the new quantum replay out of materials from the prehistoric era, but he still needs a circuit relay that has diamond in it. I love Carl's matter-of-fact note that, Jimmy, jewelry stores won't exist for several years. Like, that's the biggest concern. And again, like I said, not to just beat a dead horse, but man, Rob Paulsen, you rock. But for just Carl Weasel alone, like, thumbs up.
I think we would have a field day with this freaking kid.
Easily. But Jimmy says that they have to search for aluminum deposits where diamonds are found, and that Leppy can help them. Carl gets ready to sing and dance again as Jimmy cuts off with, we're not going to do it by singing Calypso. And why not, Jimmy? Why not? You don't want to see Carl in the grass skirt again. Come on.
Exactly.
Don't want to see him in the grass skirt. Thank you very much.
But basically what happens next, though, is Jimmy has Leppy sniff the deposit as Carl notes that Leppy is good at sniffing things. Then says that they're looking for shiny objects, a girl's best friend, as they run off. We then come back to the nest where it turns out that Sheen has been accepted by the pterodactyl chicks as he mimics them. He then gets teary, saying, I never had siblings, and I just want you to know I'm going to take care of you, and we're going to be together forever. Then the mother pterodactyl arrives and he basically saw, get out of my way, I saw her first. Which again, amazing voice acting from him too. And he then opens up the pterodactyl mom's mouth only to be upset at, what, no lizards? And man, I'm sorry, like I said, Sheen is great too.
If he's going to be eating carrion, then he absolutely has to have standards about what kind. Also, that implies he actually ate a lizard.
Yeah, well, with Sheen, that would not be surprising.
I would not put that past.
The mother then pushes her chicks out of the nest as they fly, with her doing the same to Sheen. He screams, you call yourself a parent? I want to live with Dad! As she then throws him down. Sheen falls. We then cut to Hugh falling out of the sky, then using the remote to rewind himself back onto an airplane. In the plane, the instructor tells him that you need a parachute to join parachuting school. Hugh says that he doesn't need a parachute as he is Hugh Neutron, master of time and space.
Master of time and space!
Yep, you got it. Before he jumps out the plane again. And another joke I love, I mean, this is a great moment, but I just love this little understated joke. After Hugh leaps out of the plane again without a parachute or anything, the instructor just shrugs and walks off. And I'm sorry, that was probably the punchline of the joke that really got me, you know? Just like the instructor's like,
Yeah.
oh well, and just walks away.
Yeah, best joke. Anyway, Shark.
I will say this. Hugh's parachuteless jump went way better than Banjo's parachuteless and Kazooie-less jump in the commercial.
Also Link.
Kazooie? Uh-oh.
Kazooie?
Sure. That is very, very true. Anyway, go ahead, Matt.
This is one of those episodes that makes me question, how did Sheen get a series and not Hugh?
Yeah, maybe Sheen and Hugh, now that I think about it, like wacky, fantastical adventures in space or something like that.
So you gotta be careful. You don't want a late season Fairly Odd Parents like what they did with Mr. Crocker and Timmy's dad. You don't want to do that.
Fair enough.
But we then come back to prehistoric times to see Carl and Jimmy following Leppy as they're getting tired, with Carl lamenting about his blood sugar, while Jimmy notes that he overestimated Leppy's intelligence. Leppy then digs in the ground as Jimmy then notes the sediment, saying there's diamonds somewhere. Carl then points out giant diamonds embedded in a rock wall as Jimmy shouts, oh, Heisenberg! And, wow, I did not know Carl Wheezer was really the one who knocks. Obvious joke out of the way.
Yep. Also, Heisenberg! No! Oh, Spuddy immediately shows that Lady Dimitrescu has been unlocked. Little Markiplier joke.
But Jimmy wonders how he can get diamond, the hardest substance on Earth, out of there. Carl then picks up a coconut and begins smacking it, getting tired after only a few seconds and screaming how he needs oxygen. And, man, Carl, you really need a coconut gun because that can fire in spurts.
If he shoots you, you'll probably die.
Well, Carl would anyway, but regardless, I also love another good background joke with when Jimmy's talking about how he needs something that's hard enough to smash a diamond, we see Carl passing out in the background as Leppy basically leaps at him to make sure he's okay. And again, such a cute thing there. It turns out the T-Rex roars yet again as Leppy and Carl run off with Jimmy running after them. Carl and Leppy are cornered on a cliff before Sheen suddenly appears, being carried by one of the pterodactyl chicks. He picks up Carl and Leppy, and the chick tries to fly away, but the weight is too much for it as it falls down. The T-Rex then approaches Carl, Sheen, and Leppy as Jimmy performs his trademark Luigi logic. Oh wait, my apologies,
Nice.
It's called Brain Blast, but basically the same thing.
Yep.
Jimmy realized that a T-Rex's skull is harder than steel after remembering the part when the T-Rex slammed against the tree and they all slid down its tail. Basically meaning that a T-Rex's skull can smash the diamonds. Jimmy then begins throwing coconuts at the T-Rex, causing it to stumble around and collapse, as well as basically letting Jimmy get the diamonds as soon as it hits the wall. Sheen says that, I prefer flowers and candies, but diamonds are nice, as he wears one as a ring. Jimmy gets the quantum replay all set up, but it needs a few seconds to charge as the T-Rex wakes up and attacks them once again. Sheen says that he'll handle this and whistles, causing the chicks to carry him in the air and for him to drop coconuts on the T-Rex. The quantum replay then charges up as Jimmy uses it on a volcano, causing it to erupt and also causing the T-Rex to flee. Sheen is set down by the chicks as they flee, with him saying, good luck with evolving! The volcano, of course, continues to erupt as lava approaches them. Jimmy uses the remote just in time to get them out of there. We then cut to the Neutron household as a group of angry people all approach Judy. It turns out Hugh is being carried there by an angry mob as he says, "Hey there, sugar booger! Remember how I said I'd never be brought home by an angry mob yet again?"
Yeah, I love the implication that this isn't the first time it happens.
Yeah, he grossed out freaking the candy bar. But here's the thing that honestly got me. It's like there was one moment where he actively made a woman experience birth and unbirth several times. Like, Christ, Hugh. Like, that is messed up on many levels.
Exactly. One of those things that really, it's such a dark joke, but yet it's also really, really funny, you know?
Yes.
The delivery of the woman, how she explains it.
And also, Sam's little birth, yeah, which is also another Al Lewis reference, which, again, check out Gilbert Gottfried's awesome podcast if you haven't seen it, because West explains where I got that from. But getting back to this, what happens is Judy then drags Hugh into the house. He tries to apologize for it, but she drags him off by his ear. Jimmy, Carl, Sheen, and Leppy all arrive in modern times as Jimmy embraces Goddard, with Leppy and Goddard playing in a cute moment. Jimmy says that he's thankful they didn't change the timeline, only for him to go into his house and see Judy watching over Hugh in a cage. Jimmy, of course, instantly thinks they managed to create a timeline where human males are slaves to warrior females. Which, okay, Jimmy, that's the first thing you thought up of, but whatever. Anyway, go ahead, Angron.
Yeah, I honestly love that about Jimmy as a character. But he's pretty much an A-tier genius on par with people like Beast or even Ishigami Senku. But he's still a kid. And as a kid, he sometimes comes to conclusions that are 100% justified because he's a child. Because they in of themselves are childish in concept. Like seeing his mom put Hugh in a jail cell. Of course you would think that this timeline was screwed up and that this planet was ruled by freaking women because he's a kid. He's a genius, but he's a kid. Kid genius. Anyways, go ahead, Math.
This scene really confuses me because his belief that they have created a timeline where human males are enslaved by warrior females, isn't that just his family dynamic in general?
Far off.
Now imagine if it was Dragonesses doing it.
That would be better. But basically what happens next, though, is Carl and Sheen run out and begin basically apologizing to Cindy and Libby, begging them for mercy as they're confused over this. Judy then explains that she's just doing this to prevent Hugh from annoying the town again, then has him apologize. She reminds him apologizing multiple times before she walks off, and this moment as a kid really just surprised me because, again, I probably wasn't expecting it. Leppy grabs the remote from Jimmy and points it at the camera, which ends up rewinding the entire episode. It's done in like really fast motion, that how it's basically rewound to the beginning with all the scenes we saw before going by in like a rapid flash. And really cool thing how they did it there. And of course, the episode ends with the beginning of the episode, which try wrapping your head around that. Sheen remarks how much he loves the smell of bananas in the morning, only for Jimmy to stop and go, "Whoa, deja vu," into the camera. And
It's the dust store!
yeah. But yeah, basically that's it for this episode. It was a really, really fun episode from a really fun show. Jimmy Neutron lasted for 3 seasons and was a huge hit of Nickelodeon. Of course, we had the Jimmy Timmy Power Hour, which probably happened because that was really the only 2 Nicktoons that could conceivably cross over, because Steve Hillenburg infamously had a clause in his contract saying that SpongeBob would not do like full-on crossover episodes with other Nicktoons. Like video games that were fine, but actual episodes, he felt that would be like a ratings trap, so that didn't happen. But yeah, they were a lot of fun too, and the 3rd season also has a lot of great episodes, and Jimmy Neutron almost got a 4th season. It would have brought back characters like Evil Jimmy. It would have brought back the League of Villains for several more appearances. It would have improved more of Cindy and Jimmy's relationship, as well as Libby and Sheen's. And yeah, it would have been a lot of fun. Unfortunately, what happened was DNA Productions was killed because of the box office flop that was The Ant Bully. because they apparently put all their eggs in that basket, and that just, like, when it bombed at the box office, they could not. Yep.
Sad to
Yep.
say. I actually liked
Yeah.
Ant Movie, but it's a real shame that it got nerfed like that.
No. But also, with Planet Sheen, what happened with that is fascinating. Originally, that show was called Red Acres, and it was going to be about some pizza delivery guy getting trapped in space and basically having the plot happen to it. Apparently, when working on it, one Nickelodeon executive said, like, oh, why don't you just make it Sheen? And so they did. So if you're wondering why Sheen feels so different in the show, it's because it wasn't meant to be Sheen. It was meant to be some random nerdy pizza delivery guy.
Yeah, honestly, in that regard, it sort of feels like having a show about one Ed without the other two Ed boys.
Yeah, it would have been like that.
Yeah, answer that.
Life has many doors, Ed boy, but some doors are best left closed.
All good, all good. Jimmy Neutron, there's been rumors of like a continuation of it bubbling around for like, I think 5-6 years at this point. Nothing has come of it yet, but it would be fascinating if it did, because I really hope if they bring it back, like, improve the animation quality, yes, but please keep the toony designs, you know? You don't have to make it look like modern Pixar where everything's all like either photorealistic or got that weird like a faux Ghibli vibe to it. Just keep it as is, you know?
It has that weird fusion of overly realistic and cartoony these days, and it feels so out of place.
Kind of, but it's got a distinct, somewhat style that I can somewhat get behind most times. But when it's done a little weird, it can be a little weird. But that's just me.
In my opinion, it only worked for Turning Red.
And Luca,
I haven't seen Luca yet, but
watch it. Watch it.
Basically, now that leads to the question of the week, which is, what is your favorite Jimmy Neutron episode? Because, let's face it, there's a lot of them. There's a lot to talk about with it. So, my favorite is probably going to be one that is really, it became famous more recently, but kind of for the wrong reasons, if that makes sense. And that's going to be the episode Nightmare in Retroville, aka the Slumber Party episode, because this one has everything. It has really hilarious moments from Carl, Hugh, and Sheen. It has Carl's hilarious, time to take out the trash, when he does the pillow fight. It has a hilarious bit from Hugh with, Mom told you boys to come down and shut up and give me a slice of pizza. And yeah, basically it just has such a fun concept too. And the ending is so weird. I give him credit for that just for sheer weirdness. Like, it's one of those things, almost a little bit like, what show is it? It'll come back to me eventually, but for now, it really is something that is hilarious. Like, how it ends basically is such a really good ending. I don't want to spoil it if you haven't seen it, but man, it is a lot of fun, you know? But
Is that the one with the salami feet and Carl's shoes?
nope, that's another one.
Okay.
But yep, I was just about to bring that up, that this episode became somewhat famous because of a meme video about maybe a decade ago. It was called Jimmy Neutron Happy Family Happy Hour, done by the user Seinfeldspitstain, who made really weird, really hilarious Gmod videos that were hilarious. And sadly, he ended up basically quitting the internet shortly after because he didn't like that it became a meme. But yeah, basically, if you haven't seen it, basically just 4 words. The pizza is aggressive.
Yep.
Nice.
the pizza is aggressive.
Infamously, he actually made a sequel video to it, which was Jimmy, or rather the Jimmy model in the video, getting buried in a cemetery, and they have a bunch of mourners, including Sheen, the mayor from the Powerpuff Girls, Clementine, Thomas the Tank Engine, basically random Gmod models. And it turns out it slowly zooms out, and Jimmy is being buried in the dead meme cemetery, which, basically summed up how he felt about it. Seinfeldspitstain, he did really not like being associated with that video. I think he got really annoyed. It overshadowed all the other weird stuff he did, which to be fair, he had some other really, really funny and weird as hell videos. Like, if you haven't seen them, definitely check them out because there's not that many, and he quit YouTube like years ago, unfortunately, and I don't think he's returned since. But yeah, that was a really funny viral video. But getting back to the episode itself, it is such a fun one. It's really just such a unique one, too. You know, it's one of those that I feel like it's the perfect encapsulation for what Jimmy Neutron is. You know, the wacky invention, Carl and Sheen cause it to go haywire. The thing goes haywire. Like, the first 3/4 of it is a normal Jimmy Neutron episode. Then, like, the last 2 minutes, it goes off the rails, and you gotta see it to believe it. Go ahead, Chuck.
Yeah, like I love one gag in the episode early on where they are hearing the scary story where the hologram ghost tells him that, oh, I'm going to tell you a terrible story. And she's like, terrible is in horrifying or terrible as in bad?
Yeah, that's funny. Nice.
Yeah. But yeah, that's something gonna be my pick is a Nightmare in Retroville, which is a really, really funny one. And I will say this, I really would like to hopefully see a Jimmy Neutron revival because I feel there is so much you can do with it. But basically that's it for me.
Yep.
Angron, what would your pick be?
This one's going to be an interesting one because this is one that stuck with me in my childhood, even to this day. Like, it's a two-parter, meaning it's roughly 40 minutes or so. And there was a video game that was inspired by this very episode.
I know which one you're talking about.
I know. Yep, I know which one is gonna be.
Yep. Ladies and gentlemen, Attack of the Twonkies.
That's a good one.
Good lordy. Like, I played the game. I played a little bit of the game, never completed it because I was young and I couldn't really complete anything without adult assistance because I was that dumb and I couldn't complete anything that wasn't The Legend of Spyro.
Kind of was the same way.
Yeah, and it was a big part of my imagination for the most part. Good lordy, the Twonkies. I could not quit them for a very long while. Be that as
I love the punchline they had with Sheen in that special.
Yeah, that was great.
yeah,
Yes.
freaking thing. Oh, good lordy. That reminds you of another punchline in that episode where he's like, I have the voice of an angel. Hey, you owe me $2! And just freaking runs after the kid. And I love the little background gag. Yeah. Oh, gosh. Better Off Dead did it good, but freaking Jimmy Neutron did that joke better, especially with the payoff being Sheen tackling the freaking kid who owed him the $2. Yeah, the Twonkies themselves, like, honestly, I got major Gremlins / little shit vibes from this. It was so hilarious. It was so off the walls. It even had, like, it honestly feels like an early 2000s version of Gremlins, and it's the closest thing we will ever get to that, aside from freaking Gremlins Tales of the Mogwai. Or Legend of the Mogwai, anyways. But yeah, I'm going to pick that one because I finally saw it all recently, and not only did the Twonkies themselves stay with me, but the game and the episode that spawned from it is absolutely what ultimately inspired part of my childhood this day for that reason. Like, there's a bunch of episodes I could have chosen, like the one where Cindy and Jimmy get stuck on an island, or again the one with the salami feet and Carl's shoes. But yeah, that is definitely just going to be that's definitely going to be Attack of the Twonkies.
Easily. And yeah, like I said, that's just a great episode because it's a good parody of Gremlins, while at the same time kind of being like the story. And like Shark said, the part with the ending part with Sheen, like basically how it culminates, is hilarious. Plus, of course, we have the absolute roast master that is Miss Fowl, because that is hilarious. Sheen, what we're trying to say about you is that your voice scares children.
Your voice scares children. Laying it on thick.
Yep.
You also have Hughes with his puppets.
I also love the song the alphabet song that she did. A is important because eventually spells ant.
Yeah.
Like, she does it all calm, like, and then she gets that word and she just does it so shrilly.
That's a great choice right there. let's see. Matthew, would your pick be?
My favorite episode can be summed up with 2 words: sodium chloride. The infamous meme where Jimmy is saying sodium chloride and has the character Skeet. They'll usually invert that by saying how idiotic it is for Jimmy to actually go to that full length rather than just say salt. This it's an episode called Men at Work, and it's where this meme spawned from, but there's something really just that meshed perfectly well together in this episode. It's got so many in-jokes, so many references, so many different types of humor all slammed together that work really well. I mean, for Pete's sake, they found a way to work in a HAL 9000 kind of thing while at the same time doing typical diner slang jokes.
Definitely has to be Hugh Neutron singing the Taco Shack theme song. Like, I just love, he randomly pulls out a ukulele and starts singing the theme song at McSpanky's. And it's just like so hilarious how he just keeps babbling about, oh, at Taco Shack, they have 28 kinds of cheese at this taco bar. And the waiters all have funny thin mustaches. And then, of course, he brings out the theme song, which is hilarious. But yeah, no, that is a great choice. That was actually one of my favorite episodes, too. That is definitely in my top, shall we say, 3 episodes,
Yeah, that's got a lot of great Hugh lines, too. But I actually think this has maybe the best Sheen line ever. So Sheen has been saying diner slang the entire episode. Because they're working in a restaurant, so why not? And at one point, Jimmy just up and leaves the restaurant because he's just so annoyed with everything. So Sheen says, "Hey, Carl, give me a taxi driver with a Polish accent. Want a hamburger with peanut butter on it? No, but if Jimmy's leaving, we need a ride home."
Well, you say that hard mode was not talking about the movie, but I'm gonna talk about an episode that is about making a movie. Lights, camera, danger.
Oh, yes.
Nice.
So in this episode, basically, Jimmy and friends get a role in a movie that Jimmy himself wrote, but turns out the director is an old nemesis of Jimmy, so he's making every scene dangerous as possible. And yeah, it's pretty hilarious because they do parody a lot of movies. They parody like Harry Potter. They parody Singing in the Rain, but something goes wrong. Something tries to kill them. First, it has one of the 2 most iconic moments in the show. One, are you gonna finish that croissant?
Are you going to finish that croissant?
Oh.
And number 2, well, there's a mini story with Hugh that even though he didn't get a role for the movie, the director just had him as the donut boy that was going to bring them all the donuts they want. But Hugh actually thinks that he's actually a character in the movie, so he even gets a musical number. Who's the super suave cop that always gets the bad guy? Donut boy! That's me.
Nice.
Yeah, and I love how all the attempts to get rid of him, it gets misunderstood. Like the director says, "No, this is the scene where you get lost," and he's like, "Oh, the donut bots get lost to raise the drama. I like it. Good thinking."
Nice.
The donut boy gets lost scene. Very good. Good thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And of course,
he's great. He is just.
we do get to see the movie at the very end of the episode, and the final product is something you have to see to believe.
Yeah. Let's just this way. Hugh himself probably has one of the best parts of the ending of that. Let's put it that way.
Yep.
And of course, Carl with the llamas. But basically, that's a great choice right there. So let's see who's next. Stryker, what would your favorite episode be?
My favorite episode has to be the Ice Age episode.
Ooh, that's an underrated one.
I can't get over the famous scene where, what was it, Sam? They were going hunting.
Yes. They did this freaking war dance.
Yes. Yes, that scene. I can't. I still love that episode because it felt different for Jimmy Neutron. And while a lot of episodes are different, it's just this one was just the one that struck me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see why.
I love how the cows, like, you can see how quickly it races. Like, they even try to sacrifice Jimmy to the ice god to calm him down. And Miss Howell is like, no, kids, we are not going to sacrifice him. And then they show her how the temperature is going low and send him to the ice god or something like that.
That's great.
Yeah.
Oh, that's classic. Definitely funny moment right there. I mean, and like I say, it shows how good Jimmy is that we all managed to have such unique answers to it, with it being a really, really great show. It definitely was one of Nickelodeon's best. Like, I really think it's up there with like SpongeBob, but to be fair or not.
Yeah.
And like I said earlier, it is kind of better than Fairly Odd Parents to me, but Fairly Odd Parents is still a great show. But yeah, Jimmy definitely outdoes it. But now it is time for the patent-pending Dragoness Scale, where we're going to rank both the T-Rex and the Mother Pterodactyl. And this is going to be interesting because they're not really characters per se, and they're more like obstacles. But with that being said, the CGI style it's a stylized version, but it's also a really unique one. So I think for both of them, I might end up giving them the same exact score, which is okay, actually, wait, scratch that. I'm actually going to give the T-Rex a 7 out of 10, just because I like its design. I do like how they basically outsmart it. The Mom Pterodactyl, I'm going to give a 6 out of 10, only because after she throws Sheen out of the nest, she does not appear again, believe it or not. Yeah, that's the last time she appears in the episode. So she if she was the one to have saved Sheen in that from the T-Rex, she probably get a 7 out of 10 too, but because I kind of cut her role off in half, I kind of have to lower her by a point. But still, with that being said, it's really, really good. And again, it speaks to how good Jimmy Neutron was with character design rather than compared to animation. But let's see, Angron, you were saying?
I am going to give the T-Rex a similar score, a little higher though, 8 out of 10, because like how they outsmart it, yeah, it definitely works, and its design is certainly unique. If it wasn't for the fact that it was at least confirmed once to be male, and like a coincidence aside, I would ultimately rank it a little bit higher. But as for the mom, I'm gonna have to agree. 6 out of 10. The look is fine. It's unique for what it's trying to get across, but yeah, she does not get as much time as her kids, and that is honestly kind of a crying shame because, yeah, I would have liked to see her more in this. So yeah, 6 out of 10 for the pterodactyl, and a reluctant 8 out of 10 for the male T-Rex.
Yeah, I definitely see where you're coming from with that, especially because, like you said, I'm surprised you gave the T-Rex higher, but I definitely can see where you're coming from because, again, the designs are really, really well done. So let's see, Math, what would you give them?
Kind of going the opposite direction of you guys. Again, this is largely because of the way that I do my ratings. It's 5 for design and then 5 for personality. There is no personality here, unfortunately. They are just the giant monsters that I often make that joke with. I really do like the designs of both of the characters, though. And this is why I emphasize stylization so much, because this, for being on as little as they are, both of these characters do look incredibly memorable. And you would instantly put, oh, that's from Jimmy Neutron, if you saw a lineup of CG dinosaurs. So the T-Rex is a 5, and I wish that they had done something with the T-Rex so that I could go higher. Like they gave it just any kind of personality trait other than it just being a T-Rex. The pterodactyl mom, this is actually where I'm kind of cheating a little bit. I'm actually going with you guys with a 6. Because of the way they designed her and sort of tunified her a little bit to give her a bit more of a humanish face to sort of impose a little bit of personality that way. I actually do get a little bit of emotion and character from her because of the way that she's looking or the reactions that she has. So that did help a little bit, and that's kind of what I wanted more from the T-Rex.
I might end up giving her. I might change my answer to 7 out of 10 for her in that regard.
Okay, Matt, what did you give the mother pterodactyl?
Oh, sorry, she's a 6.
A good ranking right there. let's see. Shark, what would you give them?
Both of them are like mostly obstacles, as pointed out, but yeah, the designs for both were like they could have grabbed generic models for the time or something, but they did make the effort to give them some changes here and then, so it actually fits in the Jimmy Neutron universe. Now, the T-Rex,
Indeed.
with that said, the T-Rex from beginning to end, well, they're an obstacle, and that's pretty much it. They're just trying to eat the main characters, and that's that. So I'm gonna go with a 6 for them. And I'm actually gonna go a little bit higher for the pterodactyl sans. There's a bit of an evolution to her character sans. Yes, she acts as an obstacle at the start when she kidnaps Sheen, but she eventually does give Sheen the means to escape and fight back against the T-Rex, so there's more to her than there was to the T-Rex. Yes, sadly she does disappear after she teaches him, quote-unquote, how to fly, but... And as Matt pointed out, she's a bit more expressive than the T-Rex, so she's gonna be a 7.
Okay, nice. Yeah, definitely see where you're coming from there, like I said. So let's see, Stryker, what would your ranking?
Didn't have much of an opinion on the dinosaurs, but to be honest, I think I might just go with a 7 and a 7 for the T-Rex and an 8 for the Mama Pterodactyl.
Oh, okay, wow.
Yeah.
Pretty high score there. And yeah, definitely always an interesting one when we have such varying scores like that, you know?
Always, yeah.
Yep. So that's going to be it for this week. If you have any questions, or if you want to tell us what you'd like to see in the Hugh Neutron Master of Time and Space spinoff, you can feel free to email us at fiorydiscourse@outlook.com. Visit us on Twitter at twitter.com/fiorydiscourse. Visit us on Blue Sky at Blue Sky Fiery Discourse. Be sure to subscribe to the Fiery Discourse YouTube channel, like and hit the bell icon, leave a comment. Any all comments are appreciated. Also, one of our co-hosts, Lucky Evie, is looking to move to a group home in the UK that will also be in the description. Any and all help for that will be appreciated. Next week, we'll be talking about the 1999 Godzilla, the series episode, Bird of Paradise, the show that was the sequel to the 1998 Godzilla, and by a lot of people's standards, this is actually way better than the movie.
Yep.
And we actually didn't hate the Godzilla 98 movie, unlike other people, but we're really interested in seeing where they're going to go with this, because there is a lot of fun moments that we can talk about with this, especially with Nigel the robot, who has a voice actor that you won't believe who it is. Unfortunately, this is not the episode where Nigel the robot raps, because that is one of the funniest moments. But we'll have to see what happens with that. Until next week, thank you so much for watching, and take care.
Laters.
There's...
Adios. See you all next week.